Although AI has its roots within symbolic logic, today it has become the science of probability and the art of uncertainty. In many ways, AI is much closer to us humans than we think. It mimics the way we learn, learning from its past as it navigates the world around us. When I hear discussions about AI-powered solutions, many ask for 100% accuracy, full transparency on how it learns, how it makes decisions. However, the world is an uncertain place, and we cannot expect machines to provide more certainty than the world allows for. Today, uncertainty is the soul of AI systems. Even the raw output of an AI system is a probability score, indicating the most likely outcomes. The system computes most likely outcomes, but it never tells us what is exactly going to happen. There is always a margin of uncertainty in AI, just as in life. The trouble is, being uncertain is stigmatized in our society. It's been seen as a kind of humility that doesn't reflect the confidence we're looking for, even if it's faked one. And that's perhaps the root of our discomfort today with AI. If we look how human beings face the world, our strength lies in our ability to face each day with curiosity and optimism, our capability to learn, grow, and adapt. And that's exactly what we want to bring to AI systems. If we avoid the discomfort that not all outcomes are 100% accurate, then we're missing a huge opportunity to make our world a better place. Ultimately, we will end up in a culture of fear, control, and lack of innovation. It is only when we embrace uncertainty in both humans and machines and allow controlled mistakes along the way that we can unfold the power of our technology and society to meet the world's biggest challenges. Since an early age, I've been fascinated by the idea of cause and effect, causality, that A always leads to B, that if I do this, this will happen. As a child, I was asking the most causal questions of all. Why? Why do objects fall when we drop them? Why the sun disappears at night? Very easy answers. Unfortunately, many of my simple real-life questions didn't have an answer. Why can't my autistic brother talk? And later in life, now in my job, why is this patient not responding to this treatment? Why is this child bouncing from foster home to foster home? I quickly learned that simple causality is just that, too simple. However, looking for causality is so tempting, as it describes answers in such an elegant way. In maths, all the laws can be described by equations. No surprise, I loved maths. In physics, there are laws that describe physical change in objects, even in reverse. How amazing! Even in literature, we have a clear narrative between the good and the bad. I can't tell you how frustrating it was that those complex scientific questions got simple answers, and yet my simple real-life questions didn't have one. And I would love to quote one of my favorite poets on uncertainty. When you have an answer about something, say not, I have found the truth, but rather say, I have found a truth. The world is uncertain. That's the only certainty we have. Either we accept a truth with a margin of uncertainty, or we fool ourselves looking for the absolute truth that doesn't even exist. So I decided to make uncertainty my best friend and devoted over a decade of my life to this delicious uncertainty, building those fascinating AI systems fueled by the power of probability to empower people regain control on their own mission. Here's the thing. People assume that AI, this beautiful technology, has the autonomous power to reshape our society for the better or the worse. Others assume that society, with its rules and regulations, has the power to make this technology good or bad. Both are wrong and deeply rooted on two forms of what we can call causal determinism, the cause and effect between technology and society. From the one hand, we have technological determinism, an attitude that's been around since the old age industrial revolution, that technology can independently reshape society. And on the other hand, we have social determinism, that society with its rules and regulation can reshape technology on its own. We can see that both are examples of oversimplified causality, which is tempting. But the truth is, nobody knows. Nobody knows how the interaction between AI and society will evolve in the future. Even the best visionaries among us can't tell. The only way forward is to embrace uncertainty in both society and technology, and to steer this technology forward to learn, grow, and adapt by allowing controlled mistakes along the way. I believe there are three main principles that can help us drive both technology and society to this direction. First one, choose the right outcomes. Profit is not an outcome. Outcomes are health, climate, connectivity, education. If we deploy this technology and we succeed in meeting those outcomes, profit will follow. Second principle, don't look back, only when it matters. This technology, especially AI today, is fueled with historical data. Ask yourself this: is historical data relevant to my situation? In evidence-based industries where we need to learn from successful and unsuccessful cases to move forward, such as healthcare, such as education, such as law, yes, we do need to use historical data more and more, and hence apply AI more and more. However, in industries where we need to build a vision for the future, where we should invest to meet our goals for tomorrow, where we should drive the next generation's opinion, we should not be looking backwards. What worked in the past will not, by definition, work for tomorrow. And last but not least, empower the people. Don't bypass them. Ask yourself, is this technology empowering the human in the loop? Even if it's not 100% accurate, is it empowering to question it? We need to empower doctors, lawyers, teachers, parents with this technology, because only those people can transfer the moral values in the society where they live in. Let me give you examples from the real world environment, how to embrace and how to go about this in practice. In my PhD, I worked with surgeons. Surgery is one of those domains where there is a lot of unforeseen complications and complex anatomies, and surgeons have to adapt to these situations. So I applied AI to predict risk and avoid complications from happening. The AI system was trained by historical data from previous surgeries and was predicting risk in the surgery. The system was not always right. It was not always 100% right, as it flagged for risks that sometimes did not materialize. However, it empowered the surgeon and his team to intervene and avoid a complication from happening. We can clearly see the principles working. The benefits for the patient was clear, historical data was relevant, and the human in the loop, which is the surgeon and his team, were empowered. I can tell you also for an example that didn't tick all the boxes. One of my friends, a very good surgeon, highly skilled one, if I have to undergo surgery, I'll go find him somewhere in the world. He describes a robot that his hospital bought to assist him during surgery as a very expensive chair. I asked him, why would you describe a robot as a chair? He said, the only difference it makes for me, I will be sitting instead of standing. in terms of surgical skills or patient outcome, it didn't add value to me. Maybe for less skilled surgeons, this robot will be helping, improving outcomes, but for him, it didn't. Another example where we apply is the foster care, meaning the social care system that places children in other families. Our goal is to maximize the stability for those children and avoid them bouncing from home to home to have a normal and stable future. So we train the system with historical records from the past, successful and unsuccessful placements. And the AI system is supporting social worker to prevent a breakdown from happening. It flags risky placements. Social worker can visit the family and the child and provide the necessary support. Those principles can help us drive AI to the right direction, but also can help us to flag out the bad applications. Some of them happen today. For instance, surveillance capitalism, where we have our data, email, social media, used for no outcome except profit, to drive us to buy products that we don't even need. And why not manipulate our opinion for election in the way? Those applications will be flagged out, and they should stop. To maximize the benefit of this technology even further and minimize the risk, there are also measures that we can take on the operational level. In particular, two things. One is around handling bias in the data, and two, around providing explainability for the users. Bias is this unfair prejudice in the data about a group of people that can be characterized by gender, age, race, color, are common ones. We need to make sure that the AI system is not discriminating against those groups. There are different ways that we can go about this in practice, making sure the data is unbiased in the training stage and making sure the output is unbiased of the AI system. So in the training stage, we can balance the data across the different categories, or even take out some parameters altogether, such as gender, if it's going to introduce bias. On the testing stage, we can go more systematically looking for bias by creating red teams that deliberately looking for bias in the output. The other measure, which is really key for the success of any AI system, is the explainability, to give the reasons behind the AI system output. It's not just empowering the human in the loop, but also it makes him accept and adhere to the AI system's result. If an AI system going to flag a patient for a disease, it needs to give good reason for the doctor and the insurer why further tests need to take place. Similarly, if a system in the foster care flags a child for risk, it needs to provide good reason for the social worker to make that visit in the first place. AI technology is not perfect, and it will never be. That's not just fact of technology, that's fact of life. Embracing uncertainty, it's a fundamental way for humans to learn, grow, and improve. And in that sense, AI is much human than we think. If we look at the impact we can have with this technology, when fueled with the right ambition, the results are too significant to ignore. We need to have those outcomes and move in smaller to bigger steps and learn along the way. We need to empower people by answering their everyday questions and learn alongside them to make our world a better place, one small step at a time. If we don't, as clearly the examples in healthcare and foster care show, we are missing a huge opportunity to make our world a better place. AI is already here, waiting for us to use it. It is no longer the future. And in many cases, it's already been used. We should stop asking how we can control this technology and start asking the right questions. How can we maximize patient outcomes using AI? How can we make our children's lives and education better with AI? How can we scale this technology to meet the world's biggest challenges? And along the way, we need to respect boundaries. We need to incorporate bias control, provide explainability for the user, and create diverse teams on both ends, both the training and the testing of the system. We can only get there if we embrace enough uncertainty and dare to systematically anticipate mistakes as they occur and be brave enough to proceed and allow even more controlled mistakes along the way. That's the only option, unless we do nothing. But that's not an option either. And I would like to close with one of my favorite quotes by a 13th century Persian poet. Between right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Thank you.